Hello, everybody. We are live.
Yes, we are. Hey.
Yes. And as you see, I have a new face with me this week while Seth is away visiting family.
Oh, taking vacation time. The nerve.
The nerve of him. 2 weeks. So 2 whole shows I will have to do without his face.
Sorry, you get this one
Darn.
instead. Oh, man.
That's okay. I like your Flintstones poster in the background. I just
Thank you.
noticed.
You know what's so funny about that? Well, it has two of my favorite people in the world in it. It has Rosie O'Donnell and Rick Moranis right there, which I love. And a friend of mine produced the movie, so that's
Oh,
another
that's
good
so
reason
cool.
to have it. And it's the same guy who made Hocus Pocus, produced the Flintstones. And I didn't realize this till recently. The poster's a Drew Struzan.
Wow.
Yeah, he if you don't know Drew Struzan, he did those hand-drawn posters that were very big in the 80s and 90s, like all the Indiana Jones films, Back to the Future, lots of Muppet stuff. So, yeah, it's a cool design, and I actually love that movie. I know it doesn't have the best rating on like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff, but I think The Flintstones is great.
Is
Big
that
fan.
the one with Kyle MacLachlan in it? Because he's one
Mhm.
of my favorite people. I
He-
love him.
Well, you know what's so funny is like whenever I see him, my first thought is, oh, the Flintstones, because it was definitely my introduction to him.
Yeah.
So in anything I ever see him in, it's the Flintstones guy.
Yeah, he's the Twin Peaks guy for me.
There we go.
All right, let's say hello to everyone in the chat. Derek, hello.
Hi, Derek.
Michael, I've never been to Universal. I've never been to Universal Hollywood, but I used to be an AP holder at Orlando.
Orlando.
Michael, guess who's back? Michael's
Back again. Michael's back. Tell a friend. My apologies to both Brittany and Seth for being MIA last week. Made it
But
to Florida.
you're in Florida now, so filling you in, Jeff, for what you've missed. Michael has been trying to move to Florida for a very long time, and it looks like he made it, so that's great.
I think I've met Michael at Disneyland, if I'm remembering correctly. I believe so, at a 90s night or something.
Hi, Blossom. I wanted to go to that so bad. I was so jealous.
Literally one of
Thanks.
one of the best nights in my life in Disneyland. Truly. Hey, Brian's here. Hey, I'm doing good, Brian. Hello, hello.
Let's see. HHN should have happened tonight, and today is Michael Keaton's 70th birthday. Yeah, I can't believe he is 70 years old.
Age is so interesting. Like,
Yeah.
70 when I was a kid. Like, I mean,
It was
granted, when
old.
you're a kid, you're like, oh, it's so old. But the weird thing for me is, in my mind, people don't age. In my mind, like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas are always in their 50s, like
Yes.
the age they were when I was a kid. And I'm like, what? It's like they're in their 70s now. Jeez, it's unbelievable to me.
I mean, like less than 5 years ago, Michael Keaton was a villain in a Spider-Man movie, and he certainly didn't look in his 60s in that, but
Yeah.
he's gonna be freaking Batman again.
I mean, how old is Harrison Ford now? Still playing Indiana
Oh my
Jones?
gosh.
I mean, that's intense.
Yeah. Phil from Tennessee says hi. Well, hi, Phil from Tennessee.
Howdy, Phil.
Yes.
90s night at Disneyland. Yep, I remember Michael. Howdy, Michael. Congrats on the Florida move.
Yes, congratulations. It looks like we are kind of hovering at around 22. It's a bit of a quiet night. 78. Oh my god.
Whoa. He should not be doing
Whoa.
stunts.
He should not be flying planes either.
Yeah.
But
It's
that's,
You know why it's a quiet night? Labor Day weekend. Everybody's out partying. No work tomorrow.
that's right. I didn't do anything for the holiday. I just went and bought Halloween decorations.
Listen, that is celebration enough. I wholeheartedly applaud that.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. In 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 103 of the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by Destinations with Character Travel. I'm Brittany,
And I am Jeff.
and we're here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. And this week, filling in for Seth, I have Jeff DePauli. Welcome. Thank you for filling in for me.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun, especially
Yes.
since we're heading into the Halloween season, my favorite time of year.
So we always start the show with asking, outside of the theme park stuff, how you've been over the past week. So what has this first week of September feel How was that been for you?
I will say that this is the official like start of my Halloween season is September. I do not, give into the August Halloween. Sorry, Magic Kingdom, but like it's just too early for me. So, there's been like an excitable mood in the air, I feel like. And, I've done some Halloweeny sort of things. And this upcoming week, we've got Horror Nights opening here in Hollywood. So, yeah, it's been that. And also, not to plug something right off the top, but my time has been consumed by a Halloween podcast that I do. And that's just kind of been like ramping up. So, that's been my first week of September, honestly.
Yeah, same here. We have a strict rule in my house that's more my boyfriend's rule than mine, is that Halloween doesn't start until September 1st. It's Halloween season anyway. We don't watch horror movies, no decorating. But today, since we didn't really have a lot going on, we went to Michael's and Home Goods and Target and bought up so many Halloween things. Michael's has really great Halloween decorations this year, by the way.
Yeah. Michael's always does. And I always laugh at how many places work the words hocus pocus into their decorations just to like, they're like, okay, Disney doesn't own the term hocus pocus, but we know we'll get that demographic to buy our stuff if we just write, it's all a bunch of hocus pocus on anything.
I saw it on a throw pillow, I think. But we bought these busts that look like the busts that follow you in the Haunted Mansion. We bought a couple of those. And a little like cardboard haunted house that you can put together.
Nice.
I'm super excited.
You know what I am not a fan of when it comes to decorating? I
What?
am not a gingerbread house fan.
Those are just messy.
Oh, they're so difficult. And I hate how like every holiday now has a gingerbread house. Of course, it was a Christmas thing. Now it's like they've got a Halloween haunted gingerbread house, and I think even Easter might have one. Like it's crazy. So that is the one decoration I'm like, nope, I will walk right past that aisle and not get myself a gingerbread. Like it, I have a lot of patience when it comes to like weird little crafty things, but gingerbread house is not one of them.
I am of the strict mindset that if it is like sweets or candy, but you can't eat it, it's not worth it. So,
Fair enough.
Yeah. Because, like, by the time you would be able to eat the gingerbread house, it's, like, old and hard and bleh.
It's true.
Let's see. Spirit Halloween has really stepped up this year. I went to the local one for me here in Texas the first day it opened. Because I am extra. They didn't have a ton up, because I was mostly there for the Haunted Mansion collection that they put out this year, but lots of really good stuff. Those tombstones especially.
You know what's so funny is Spirit Halloween, I feel like, was like a crap store for a lot of years, and within the last couple of years it's become like this kind of trendy meme like thing. Like whenever you see any place closed, there, somebody makes a meme of a Spirit Halloween sign on the building. and now like the merch is actually quite good. It feels like people wait for the announcement of what's new and coming to Spirit Halloween, and I don't remember this even just a few years back. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but
yeah, I remember Spirit Halloween being like the kind of like the one that you're like, yeah, we could go to Spirit Halloween. But like this year, for example, they had Haunted Mansion licensed merchandise, Nightmare Before Christmas merchandise, like all of the New Line horror icons, plus like a killer Beetlejuice collection with like the neon like Beetlejuice. Oh no, I said it 3 times.
Oh no.
Sign.
Hey, the Beetlejuice here.
They also sell their own merch. Like you can get the Spirit Halloween logo on t-shirts.
Okay, then this has hit a new level then. It is now maybe ironically trendy. I don't know. Something has happened with Spirit Halloween, and good for them for it's very interesting. They weren't this just a few years ago.
No way. But without any further ado, let's get into the news.
Let's do it.
First up this week is something that I feel like you'll be able to go to at some point.
Yeah, this is interesting because I went to the first one and covered it for attractions right before pandemic. They were open
Wow.
for like a week or two. I think it was celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Walt Disney Archives. And that is where I had a freak out moment. I don't know if you know this, Brittany, but I am spoiled / jaded when it comes to costumes, props, stuff like that. I see a lot of it. And so I was like going through, appreciating it all. But then I turned a corner and there was the shrink ray from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I lost my mind. So, that was really cool. So I'm excited to see that the Bowers Museum is going to continue, it looks like, with different Walt Disney Archives exhibits. I wonder how long the plan is to continue this.
Yeah, this specific one is called All That Glitters, the Crown Jewels of the Walt Disney Archives, which sounds rightfully fancy and expensive. It opens on December 12th at the Bowers Museum in Santa Ana, California, and you can see all sorts of jewelry, kind of like, the magic lamp from the live-action Aladdin is in this collection. The wedding rings from Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet, which people hate that movie, but I love that movie.
Oh, no. That is a great movie.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's a wonderful film.
As well as, like, the iconic, like, blue jewel of the ocean.
It's the heart of the ocean.
The heart of the ocean.
Please. I'm literally
From
looking at Titanic poster right in front of me. Favorite film of all time.
I'm embarrassed. As well as some jewelry from the recent live-action Cruella film, which was great.
Yeah.
If you have not had a chance to watch that yet, it's free on Disney Plus now.
Now available to everyone on Disney Plus.
Yeah. The entire exhibition will cover both Disney and Fox films, so you'll see a variety of items, including the crowns from the Princess Diaries films, both of them.
It's so interesting to me, though, just like the reality of going to these exhibits now and be like, oh yeah, Titanic, I guess Disney would have that stuff. Like, it's so it's bizarre. I remember walking through the 50th anniversary one, and there was like some Batman artwork on the wall from like the TV series, which was a Fox series, and it's really it's difficult to get used to, I will say. So
yeah, well,
like
the alien thing I think was weirdest for me, because that is like not Disney, but also before the Fox purchase, it was like a great movie ride thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this exhibition has 3 different sections where it will have all of these items organized, and they're called Jewelry Informs Character, which explains what these accessories tell audiences about the characters in the films that they belong to. The Feature Vault, which looks at the most prized jewelry and accessories, so imagine like crown jewels, literally. And Reflections on Reality, which has tie earrings, or it has earrings, cufflinks, rings, tie pins, and more that tie back to the Disney films and parks that they originated from. So if you are a big jewelry fan, or like luxurious goods, I guess is what I would call the genie lamp from Aladdin, or like Mulan's matchmaking outfit from the live-action film from 2020, this is for you. I mean, seeing the stuff, the archives, it's like that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where they wheel the boxes into that giant warehouse and never to be seen again. It's how half of this stuff is most of the time, unless it gets pulled out for exhibitions.
You know what I think they should do with a lot of that stuff now?
What?
I just gotta say, the NBA experience is a large empty building, and I think that would be a good permanent home for a Walt Disney Archives exhibit. Just saying it, putting it out there. I've said it several times before. I think that would be a good idea.
I would die to have an archives, like, permanent museum.
I think it would be a great location for it, like, sincerely. I think it would be wonderful.
Yeah. And then you could, charge for it. Or make it like an add-on to annual passes. Oh, that's a great idea.
Presented by D23, the official Disney fan club.
There you go. Disney, if you're listening, take that idea. That's a really good one. If you are a Bowers member, you'll be able to purchase your tickets early on October 1st, and for the rest of us plebeians, we'll be able to buy tickets on November 1st. So definitely check that out. I'm not sure that this one will be touring as the other exhibits have done in the past, but I guess it's always a possibility if it does well.
Yeah, it does seem like they might be. Maybe the Bowers is going to be like a new permanent home. Listen, speaking of the NBA experience, we've got the ESPN Zone restaurant sitting vacant at downtown Disney here in California.
Hey.
So that's another location. Like, this kind of seem like no-brainers to me. I really think that unless they really feel like, oh, we need another dining location to permanently take that place, otherwise, I think they'd be big hits in Archives exhibit.
It would certainly be like a major plus to both downtown Disney-esque retail experiences for sure, because there are so many restaurants. Like, do we really need another one?
Ironically, you said it would be a major plus. Well, the only purpose of the ESPN Zone building right now is literally marketing for Disney Plus.
Oh,
it's like literally just billboards of Disney Plus shows covering the building. So yes, it would quite literally be a plus to a plus. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Disney, hear us out. This is a great idea.
Here we go.
Over at Shanghai Disney Resort, they have brought back Duffy Month to celebrate Duffy the Disney Bear and all of his fluffy friends in September. I love this. Do you have a favorite?
No.
No?
No. I do not. I am not part of the Duffy tribe. I find these ridiculous, but
that's valid.
I'm glad you enjoy them. It would never get me to Shanghai ever.
I am a longtime Gelatoni fan. That's the kitty cat right there.
Okay. I think if I had to pick one, I think it would be the turtle that's at Aulani. Isn't he a friend of Duffy's?
Yeah, he's up there. They added him to Shanghai, I feel like, not that long ago. But this event takes place from September 1st through the 30th, so it's been happening for about like a week by the time you're listening to this. And it includes a beautiful floral display at the entryway to the park, selfie spots, which Shanghai loves for their special events, and a special welcome performance featuring the bear and his lovely, lovely friends.
I love how you talk like that's a Shanghai thing. Disney loves their selfie spots. Well, Disney fans love their selfie shots. Like, come on. They're everywhere now.
Specifically, Shanghai lists those things as like an amenity for these events, though.
I feel like the domestic parks do now, too. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's become a thing. I mean, they're like, we have a moss wall. You know what I mean? In fact, I remember last time I was at Walt Disney World staying in the hotel there, I was watching one of those like videos, the hotel videos of what you can do. Like, they had an entire video about like the selfie walls at Walt Disney World. It's like, what world am I living in? Oh my gosh. Unbelievable.
I think a world in which they, unrelated, but the Disneyland Oogie Boogie Bash announcement recently with Cruella and Agatha and Sid from Toy Story, I was afraid that those would not be character meet and greets and that they would be like photo ops.
Oh,
so
no.
That's where we're at.
That's pretty bad that was your first thought, but no, I'm very excited about Agatha, like very excited.
I would die.
Yeah.
But back to Shanghai. This event also, the Asia parks are known for their heavily themed food and beverage offerings, and Duffy Month is no different. You can get Duffy and Friends themed ice cream, souvenirs, popcorn buckets, sippers, all to celebrate this event. And the Royal Banquet Hall inside of Enchanted Storybook Castle is where you can find a Duffy weekend brunch.
Yes!
Who doesn't love brunch with themed food and mocktails for you to enjoy? And they're all bear shaped, or they have like a little stamped in kind of singe of Duffy's face.
Branded Duffy food.
Yes. And then it's not an event if it didn't have merch, and I really love this merch. It's called the Duffy and Friends Craft Time Collection, and it's very like kinder cute crochet sort of primary color but pastel, and they have the plush faces on them. It's just really cute. It's like kidcore, I guess would be how I would describe it. But it includes plush toys, keychains, vintage style knitted crossover bags, and backpacks. I love it. It would probably cost me a fortune to import it over here. But it's really cute.
I mean, when is Duffy going to have a puppet series on Disney Plus? That's what I want to know.
Honestly, those stop motion videos that Disney did for promo on the Parks blog are wonderful. So I wouldn't hate that. That'd be really cute.
I love how much you love Duffy.
It's just cute. It's just cute.
They're cute. I'll give you that.
And over at Lumiere's Kitchen at the Shanghai Disneyland Hotel, we'll offer interactive activities, dessert decorating, sugar painting, alongside a Duffy-themed meal. So if you are local to the Shanghai parks, because I don't think travel over there is really possible for us Americans or otherwise right now, check it out and then tweet me pictures so I can live vicariously through you, please. Over at Universal Orlando, I know this happened a bit ago, but we were able to go get pictures of the new tribute store for Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Orlando. And it looks incredible. I will not be able to make it out to Orlando before this event is over, I think. So I'm just living through everyone's pictures and vlogs. It looks incredible. I love the facade. I think this is my favorite of all of the past tribute stores that we've had at the park so far.
I mean, that facade's better than some of the facades we get in the event for the mazes. Like, it's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, no, these tribute stores are incredible. I'm hoping to go see it this year at the end of October. But last year that I was really I think it was the first time I checked out one of their tribute stores was last year, and I was blown away. I mean, This is something Hollywood does not have, and I think it's a huge miss for us. I feel like somewhere there should be a tribute store, I mean, they're incredible. Even if you do not want to shop for anything, make sure you walk through because it is beautifully set up.
Yeah, and I think one thing that sets the tribute stores apart from like your traditional retail experience is that it's experiential in that you have these wax figurines that you can watch get molded, you can get treats. They're literal gummy beating hearts that you can watch like pulsate on a table. There are interactive things in this there are interactive aspects of the entire store, like these portraits, for example. I know the Jack one decomposes over time because they're screens. And then
oh man,
yes, they're
you
screens.
Ruined it.
And then other ones like the caretaker, his funeral scissors like snap closed and open. They all have really, really cool effects. It just feels like not just a store. You are experiencing an entire thing, and it has a story running throughout in the form of diary pages that you can stop and read if it's not too crowded in there, because I know it can get a little tight when it's busy.
I know if they did this it would make it like less special, but why is there not a year-round Horror Nights tribute store? How many theme parks have year-round Christmas stores? I believe Universal Florida does. I certainly know that Disney does, and like Disney's Hollywood Studio does, and I mean, a year-round Halloween store kind of feels like a no-brainer at this point.
It definitely fits the kind of vibe I feel like Universal puts off as a brand.
Yeah,
Halloween is their thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where you can get like event shirts for the houses and the scare zones. They have a bunch of props and concept art maquettes of the characters, which is really neat if you're into like the lore and the history of Horror Nights, as well as some, I don't know if they're locally crafted, but there are like painted skulls in there that you can purchase. And of course, if you heard about the vintage portraiture that you could pay for over in the Bourne store on the other side of the Studios park, you could pay to have your photo taken and photoshopped into a vintage portrait to be hung in the tribute store. And here you can see one of our reporters, Connor, tweeted a picture of Tim and Jen from Tim Tracker where they had it done.
That's funny. That is funny.
And I think they get to keep them. I'm pretty sure once the event is over and they close the store, they'll pack these up and mail them out to you.
I certainly hope so.
So I can only imagine having like a Victorian photo of myself in my house. If you want, you can head over to our YouTube channel to watch a walkthrough video of the whole thing, as well as the All Hallows Eve boutique, which is over on the island side of Universal Orlando, which is kind of like a satellite store, similar to the Jack Room theming of last year's tribute store with all the oranges and the leaves and the kind of Harlequin Halloween diamond patterns. And of course, HHN Bear makes an appearance. Very, very cool. I'm super jealous of everyone that gets to go in there and eat all of the delicious food, because there's some really good treats. Over at Disney's Animal Kingdom, we've got a new daytime activation, is what they called it in the video announcement, but it's Disney Kite Tales. It's taking place in the former home of Rivers of Light, rest in peace, the Discovery River Theater near Dinoland, USA, and it will be various kites, like giant 30 feet long kites themed to animals from Disney stories like Lion King, Bug's Life, Finding Nemo, Little Mermaid, as well as some kites attached to jet skis, kind of similar to Epcot Forever before that effect was taken away.
Yeah, it seems pretty cool. I think the difficult sell with this is, what did you call it? You didn't, it was like
Activation
an
is
activation.
what they called it.
Yeah, so to me, when I think of an activation, it seems more like a happening, something like I would walk by, kind of like the Merry Menagerie that they did for Christmas, where it's like, oh, I'm walking past this, I'm going to take a moment and have it. Having it where they're having it makes me think it's going to be like, prepare, plan in advance, sit down, watch a show. And I think that might be a little bit of a tougher sell. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they handle this.
I had always assumed it was like a show with show times. It would be in the Times Guide. You would go and sit and watch it for 20 minutes or however long it is. And then the announcement video, which is over on Disney Parks blog, called it an activation. I was like, what? That's not what this is it?
I guess it's kind of maybe they're trying to downplay it a little. I mean, they got hit pretty hard with the last thing they put in there, so maybe they're just trying to like lower expectations. And I honestly think it has the potential to be really great and beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think it will be tough to get people to, assign a time to it and go watch a show throughout the day. I don't know if there's enough to sell it that way, unless it's just like phenomenal and then word travels.
Yeah, and especially with Discovery River Theater, I feel like is cursed. Because they've had Rivers of Light, and then that didn't really do well, and then they did Rivers of Light, We Are One, which was kind of rearranged to have Disney branding put into it, and that didn't really do well, and they had entertainment in there, and then they took it out. And I feel like one thing that people always complained about with Rivers of Light is that there was no pyro, no fireworks, really. Because of the animals, they can't really do that.
Here's one thing I wonder if they could light the water on fire like they do in Fantasmic, because like pyro, I get you don't want the loud bangs. I mean, because there are definitely areas of Animal Kingdom that use fire, so I don't think it's like you cannot have fire in this park, because maybe if something catches on fire, we're screwed as far as the animals are concerned. But I wonder, I don't know if they might be able to work some sort of pyrotechnic thing into it that isn't fireworks. I don't know. And who knows if that would fix it. Listen, if it's a good show, it doesn't need fire to sell it. But it is a nice amphitheater. It's a nice location. I wish we could find something. Maybe we should just have like Fantasmic the sequel over in Disney's Animal Kingdom or something like that.
Even like a World of Color adjacent thing about, but I guess that's what Rivers of Light tried to be. Yeah. They'll figure something out. It will debut on October 1st as part of Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary celebrations, so keep an eye out. Maybe we'll get some more demo videos and they'll clarify what they mean by calling it an activation.
And maybe this is the thing that will, really hit big in that area. And, and it's not just nighttime. That's the other nice thing, is it's throughout the day, so.
Yeah, and if it's anything like, I know that they're kites, but if they have like any puppetry aspects to them, I loved the Merry Menagerie when that was a thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was really charming. So fingers crossed that this will be good. over at Disneyland Resort, it's
Oh!
barely Halloween, and we are already talking about Christmas.
Oh, I think this is later than normal. I think we would have heard about this long before already if things,
Really?
Oh yeah, I feel like in the summer they start talking about Christmas and all that stuff, and tickets would be on sale for things. I think everything's delayed still because of the pandemic, but
True.
yeah, it's coming back, and we're getting castle lights in California.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Not to brag or anything. Holiday Magic at Disneyland returns on November 12th, and it will run through January 9th, 2022. So if you are a little bit late to the Christmas game, you still have some time in the new year. Some of your favorite holiday traditions will be coming back, like a Christmas Fantasy, one of the most beautiful parades ever.
Okay.
Oh,
So
do you hate it?
Well, here's the thing. I don't hate it. I'm just
Okay.
really tired of it and ready
That's fair.
for a change. But I will say, we're getting a parade at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Like, yes! It'll have been like almost 2 years at that point. So we're getting a parade at Disneyland. I have never been happier for a Disney fantasy, or what's it called, a Christmas fantasy.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, I do think it's time for an upgrade. But
I've only seen it once, to be fair. So
it's super charming.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I give it a lot of crap, and then I'm like, oh, I love this section. Oh, I love this. And my favorite are the marching soldiers with the cornets or whatever, the trumpet, whatever the instrument is. And but then the gingerbread cookies are really cute, and the snowmen are really cute. It's cute. I think
like
it's the song more than anything that drives me a little crazy.
The Goofy Bake House, like the gingerbread bakery unit, I think is my favorite. But we also get Believe in Holiday Magic fireworks over at Disneyland Park as well. So take that, Walt Disney World. Brian in the comments says, well, we got the rumors for the Main Street Electrical Light Parade coming back to Disneyland.
Yeah, rumors are rumors, we'll say. And why, frankly, that I would not be happy with. I'm like, if you're going to do that, give us Paint the Night, please.
Yeah, I'm still mad that I've never been able to see Paint the Night.
Oh, it's so good. Sorry, not to rub it in, but
no, it's okay. I get it. I know.
I can't wait for the marketing campaign. It's time to do it again. When can we do this again? Oh, yes. So good.
We've basically written it for them if they ever decide to do it.
I mean, to think that thing's sitting somewhere in mothballs is heartbreaking.
Hurts me. Alongside of all of that entertainment, It's a Small World Holiday will also be back, plus Haunted Mansion Holiday, which, as we know, is already alive and kicking over in New Orleans Square at Disneyland. And then Disney California Adventure will see the return of Festival of Holidays with Viva Navidad, which is super fun if you've never experienced that before, as well as the theme park debut of Mirabelle from Walt Disney Animation's new film Encanto with music from Lin-Manuel Miranda. So that's cool.
Yeah. Fun times. The holidays are here, and we're actually getting them here at Disneyland Resort.
Right. I thought the same thing when they announced the Oogie Boogie Bash, that you were getting the full parade.
Shocking.
Full fireworks.
Shocking. Like, seriously,
we
have been so much more strict. The state of California has been so much more strict than Florida that I was like, I can't believe we're getting a full parade, and Florida isn't. So I was like, well, maybe they just couldn't plan it in advance enough. So of course they'll get the full Christmas party. And it's like, no, we're still doing a Disney Disney parks after hours sort of thing with that. So I think honestly it was just some number crunchers going like, listen, people are paying double for a smaller party, so why should we change? Which I think is a little dangerous for the future. I mean, my fear is that I watched a video of the Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular not too long ago, and I honestly had the thought, although with the sequel coming out next year, maybe not, but I did have the thought of like, maybe this will never happen again. Like, they sold out a lesser party for double the money. Why should they go full blown next year? So it's a concern, a legitimate concern. So in any case, I'm very happy to see that we're getting the, pretty much the full holiday festivities here. Still no mention of World of Color though.
No mention of World of Color or Fantasmic at this point.
Yeah.
Which is a bit disappointing because the Disneyland fan is superior. Sorry for you, Orlando preferers, purists.
Are there any of those who?
There are dozens of them.
Okay, fair enough.
There are dozens of us.
All
No, Disneyland's is better. I'm sorry, just accept it. Cars Land.
Well, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but Fantasmic 2.0 at Disneyland is a heartbreaker, like a heartbreaker in my mind. But that's a whole other thing. Well,
that's a whole other can of worms.
that's a whole other episode.
Cars Land will be bringing back their holiday overlays as well, so you can ride Luigi's Joy to the Whirl and Mater's Jingle Jamboree, which has one of my favorite Mater overlay songs, the Tractor, Tractor, Tractor version of Dreidel, Dreidel, Dreidel. So
absolutely,
definitely give that a ride if you get a chance. And then Santa Claus will be returning to his vacation home at Redwood Creek Challenge Trail. And Mickey and his friends will be parading through the park at various times of the day with the holiday toy drummers, which is cool.
You know what's so funny is just a couple of years ago, you could say to me, Redwood Creek Challenge Trail. You'd say those words, and I'd be like, bulldoze it and put a dark ride. These days, they use it so beautifully. I don't know if you've... Villains Grove for Oogie Boogie Bash is one of my favorite things that Walt Disney Imagineering has done in the last 10 years. And I'm being completely serious when I say that. It is stunningly beautiful. And then I also find that it is a really nice home for Santa Claus. Like, don't get me wrong, I probably preferred the Big Thunder Ranch location, but that doesn't exist. I think this is a great option. And so, like, they're doing some great stuff in there. So now if they were like, we're going to bulldoze it and make a dark ride, I'd be like, but what about Villains Grove? I'd be so upset.
Villains Grove is so good. I can't tell you how many vlogs I've been watching recently of the event, even though it just started on Friday, I think, of people going through it. And it's such an interesting and innovative way to see characters without having to do the traditional stand in line, walk up, ask for a photo kind of meet and greet. Plus, you get candy.
I don't think Oogie Boogie started yet, has it? Has it started?
Or well, maybe it starts on the 9th. I swear.
I think it starts this upcoming
Halloween
week.
Started on the 3rd.
I think you're right, yeah.
But Oogie Boogie hasn't started yet.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But either way, you get really unique character interactions, candy. It seems amazing.
It's a
Make
good
it
party.
spooky like Hong Kong Disneyland haunted attraction. I've seen those. I think specifically the one that had Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. They were like haunted houses.
Yeah, I'm all for haunted houses in the Disney parks. Like, I am a huge fan of Halloween, and I'm all for haunted attractions. So I get why they're not in Disney parks, and I think they're very smart to kind of really lean into the non-scary, not so spooky kind of angle, because let's face it, like, Universal does it splendidly. So you don't want to compete with that. And, you know, here in California, Knott's Scary Farm is like literally 10 minutes from Disneyland. So, and they're my favorite theme park haunt is Knott's Scary Farm. So you don't want to compete with that. And you're hitting a different demographic. So, you know, but having said that, I would love for a scary maze with some Disney villains.
It's like something like with Dr. Facilier from Princess and the Frog. Like, or even, like, you could go really, really old school and do, like, Madame Mim from The Sword and the Stone. Something spooky like that. Do, like, the Evil Queen from Snow White. You could do anything, and it would be really unique. It doesn't have to be, like, super, super Horror Night scary. Just kind of, like, ambient scares.
I will tell you, the guy in charge of Oogie Boogie Bash, or he has a high position on Oogie Boogie Bash. I know him, and he's great, and he loves it. Like, he loves what he's doing. So
that's awesome.
It's in good hands, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And I think, I mean, the Agatha thing was genius. And I messaged him after I saw that announcement. It was like, dude, if you had anything to do with this, I'm in love. And he just goes, it was me all along. And I was like, nice, excellent. So,
oh man, I can't wait to see what Avengers Campus will be like when Oogie Boogie kicks off. And if you are a fan of the gingerbread houses, like we were talking about earlier.
Oh gosh, I can't put together the tabletop ones. These ones, these are nightmares. They're beautiful to look at. I love looking at them, but yeah.
I love the signs next to them that say like this contains like 500 pounds of gingerbread and like 50 pounds of chocolate. You'll be able to see a giant kind of gingerbread haunted house version of the Grand Californian over in the lobby. So
a haunted version? No, that's a Christmas version.
Is it Chris? Oh, right.
Yeah,
sorry.
We're talking about Christmas.
I see this little Mickey, and it kind of looked like a vampire. So maybe that's where my head was.
No, this is the Christmas.
This is the Christmas
Grand
one.
California.
Sorry. You'll be able to check this all out starting November.
We're talking about it. No, it's okay. We're talking about A Christmas Story, and we just keep going back to Halloween because we're obsessed.
I love Halloween. I'm sorry.
Check out. Do you see my Horror Nights poster here?
Yes.
That's from like 2006 when it was revamped or brought back to Hollywood, and I worked it that year. And when the event was over, they were like getting rid of the posters. I was like, yeah, I'll take one. That thing's awesome.
I remember reading a column you did about being a scare actor. Was that the same year?
Yeah, so I did it 06, 07, and 8. So that story was about those 3 years. And I just moved to LA, and like honestly, I was going to Universal Studios just for a job. And they're like, do you like Halloween? Would you like to like scare people? And I was like, it's my favorite day of the year, and yes. And it's pretty cool, like just timed out nicely that I was there for the return of Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood, and have done it every year since. And I love the event, and I've done the Orlando one for like 5 years now or whatever it's been, and it's such a great event. So yeah, I love it.
Over at Universal Beijing Resort, last week with Seth, we talked about how they were going into trial operations with invited guests. Well, now we have an opening date, like a for real to the public opening date for September 20th. And this will include Universal Studios Beijing theme park, the 2 resort hotels on the property, and Universal City Walk Beijing.
Yes. No, I mean, as you can see, I love me some Jurassic. There we go. And I've seen the videos of that Indominus Rex, and my mind exploded. And my first thought was, we can't fix the Yeti? I was like, really? That Indominus Rex is stunning. Absolutely stunning. And normally I do not watch ride through videos because I like the element of surprise, but I'm not getting Shanghai anytime soon, and Jurassic is one of my favorite franchises ever, so I had to watch it. And gosh, she's beautiful. I mean, I'm in love with the Indominus we have here at Jurassic World, the ride, which
is really great.
She's beautiful, but holy moly, this Beijing, sorry, did I say Shanghai? I meant Beijing. This is incredible. Like an Indominus Rex, full scale, full body, chases you in the ride.
I would literally pass away, I think, because
well, then don't go to Beijing.
But I want to. So
I want to die.
I want to die on a ride. No, just kidding. I don't. No. I love life. I have like a weird, I don't want to say fear, but like aversion to giant animatronics that look like they can walk. So
that is very specific.
It just creeps me out. I don't know why. Like Dinosaur at Animal Kingdom, I close my eyes the entire time. I never open my eyes.
Okay, here's the funny thing. I have heard a lot of people say that like Dinosaur is the scariest attraction.
It's genuinely terrifying.
That is so funny to me. I love it. And I can understand how like, oh, okay, like it could be a bit scary, but like I know grown adults who are like, no, it's terrifying. I'm like, that's so interesting to me. But there's a lot of you apparently.
There are dozens of us.
You and the Phantasmic fans overlap. There's a graph where there's an overlap.
A circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks incredible. The lands in this park, if you did not know, they're getting a Wizarding World of Harry Potter, a Kung Fu Panda Land of Awesomeness, which is entirely indoors, and they've talked about changing the environment to the seasons, which sounds very cool. They also have a boat ride, I think, with screens. And then they have the Hollywoodland Waterworld.
Yeah, so Waterworld is a land?
Yes.
All right, so it's actually a sea, isn't it?
If you want to get technical.
That's interesting. So, like, what's there in addition to the stunt show?
That is a great question.
I hope they sell dirt in bags. They're like, we have found dry land. You may purchase it.
That would be really funny if it were like a snack or something, like crumbled cake in a bag.
Ooh, I like that. I think they could do it.
And then they also have Transformers Metro Base, which has a clone of the Incredible Hulk coaster themed to Transformers, Minion Land, and then Jurassic World Isla Nublar. So,
very cool.
yes, very exciting. I'm sure more videos will come out once it opens publicly. I really want like a good HD, like 4K video of that Jurassic World ride.
Yeah,
Please.
it's pretty amazing.
Though for now, I don't think that they're allowing international travel either. Maybe. By then, who knows? Let's see. Brian says, I spoke to Action Horizon Stunts. Their show is the exact same show for Waterworld. Nothing has changed.
Yeah, but is there anything new? Like, they gave a land to Waterworld. They're not just saying a Waterworld stunt show. They're saying there's a land, which could simply mean a store and, a snack stand or something. But I'm curious if there's, anything substantial aside from the stunt show.
I've never seen the Waterworld stunt show, but everyone I've ever talked to that's seen it says it's, like, top, like, S tier.
Are you...
stunts.
You're going to be checking it out soon, though, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
What would you rate it if you had to like rate it on a scale?
I've seen it 1 billion times, so I'm a little jaded by it, but I'd give it like a good 7.5 out of 10 or something.
That's fair.
Like it's a solid stunt show. The stunts are great. What I will say is, as time has gone on, I feel like some of the pacing is a little slow at moments. There are moments you're like, oh, okay, but listen, you're talking to a guy who's still obsessed with the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, so
which is great. No,
I love it so much.
No, it was one of my like life dreams to be picked as an extra for that. So,
did you ever get to do it?
I did when I moved down to Orlando after college during my DCP. It was my first day in the parks with my blue ID, and I got pulled to be an extra, and it was amazing.
What's so funny is I never really had a great desire to do so, but as the years have gone on, I'm like, okay, this show ain't gonna last forever, and I've seen it a lot. I'm like, I feel like I need to be part of it. So I'm like, next time I go, I gotta have a Mickey shirt on and a bunch of friends like pointing at me as I'm like, please pick me, and I gotta do it once. I feel like
I've wanted to do it ever since that Full House Disney episode. That was what nailed it for me.
It wasn't the New Kids on the Block one, huh?
I am too young, I think, for that one.
You gotta look up Donnie Wahlberg doing the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular.
I will.
I think it was Donnie who did it, yeah. But yes, a lot of people... Steve!
Yes, oh my god, Steve!
Yeah.
Yes, funny. That is burned into my brain. I don't think I could ever forget it. And pretty giant news, if we didn't have our main attraction already nailed down for this week, this would have been it. Walt Disney World has announced their new annual pass tiers, as well as prices. And it's a loaded thing.
Yeah.
We'll go through the breakdown and then we'll talk. But the lowest tier is the Pixie Dust Pass. It's for Florida residents only, so if you're out of state, sorry. It's $399 plus tax, and renewal is $339 plus tax. Floridians can get a monthly payment plan as well, so it's $19 per month if you go that route, after a $205 down payment. And then the next tier up is the Disney Pirate Pass, which is also for Florida residents only, at $699 plus tax, $594 plus tax for renewal, or $45 per month after $205 down payment. The next level up is the Sorcerer Pass, which is available to Florida residents or DVC members only, at $899 plus tax, $764 plus tax for renewal, or $63 a month after a $205 down payment. And then the Incredipass, which is the top level pass, and also the only one available for those out-of-staters, is $1,299 plus tax, or $1,104 plus tax if you're renewing, or $99 per month after $205 down, but that is for Florida residents only. And they do not include water park access, Disney Photo Pass, Memory Maker. The top tier pass doesn't include access to like the golf courses. Only the top pass, I think, has free parking, or they all have free parking. And then each pass has various discounts on merchandise and food. And then the blockout dates, as you can imagine, the Incredipass has none. The Sorcerer Pass has like holiday peak dates blocked out. And then Pirate Pass and Pixie Dust Pass have holiday and peak times, and then Pixie Dust has most weekends blocked out as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. For me, gosh, I have so many thoughts on this, and
be honest.
I feel like I've complained about it constantly. I just have complained about this stuff on my show a lot, and I hate to just be grumpy old guy, but like my issue with this is, first of all, I actually think having to make reservations is a good thing overall. My concern is the difficulty to make the reservations. Yeah. So if you're paying that much money, it should not be difficult. I'm not going to say you should always have a reservation available on 100% of the time when you go. But I know people who, friends in Florida who have the pass currently, and they're tired of the reservation thing. And I think it's currently only like 3 at a time.
Yes.
And now with these passes, they go up to 5 on like the top level one, which is weird because Disneyland has 6 on the top level. So like even here at Disneyland, I'm not running to get a pass because I am waiting to see how the reservation system works out. If it's a crap reservation system and often I can't go when I want to, I'm like, well, then it's not worth the money. But I will be honest, like the thing that really resists me from buying in is the whole Disney Genie Plus thing. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so now you're making it where like, you don't need Disney Genie Plus, but like, let's face it, for like a good theme park experience or a good day, you kind of do. And like, so you're telling me to buy a pass plus an additional $15 or $20 per day, and then you're going to have certain rides that aren't even included with that. And if I want to do that, I'm going to have to pay to cut those lines. So like, the word is disgusted with the way that this is all being run these days. I say over and over and over and over again, to anybody listening who is also disgusted, you vote with your wallet. So if you're disgusted and you decide to buy one, then you're not disgusted, is what I say. You're maybe, nobody wants to pay more money,
right?
But that's a reality. I don't think, I'll be honest, even the top price is not as high as I thought it would be. When I saw what people were paying for, I think the thing that really did it for me was at Disney California Adventure. They had that A Touch of Disney event during the pandemic, and it was a food festival with no rides open and some photo ops, and people were paying like $75 to get into that. And I was like, what are you, crazy? Like that's more than 50% of what like a fully open park would cost you to enjoy. So honestly, if I were the company seeing that, I probably would have made the top passes on both coasts like $2,500, because in my mind, those passes, those are people who are going to buy passes regardless of whatever it is.
Yeah.
So at $2,500, I think 85 to 90% of those people who are going to buy the 1104 or the 1299 one would still have paid $2,500. It's just like their fandom is that level. So I don't think it's a good value anymore unless you're somebody who is there a tremendous amount. And I mean a tremendous amount.
And then for that particular pass, like, who's buying it? I mean, we're both out of state as far as Florida goes, and I'm in Texas, so I'm like right in between both. And there have been plenty of times where I'm like, should I get a pass? Because then that would encourage me to travel down or over more often. But right now it seems like neither option's really, they're both expensive, and I'd have to make reservations for everything, which would be convenient for me, I guess, because I'm not dropping into the park.
it's not convenient when you're going for a week and you can only make 5 reservations and maybe only 4 of the 5 days you want are available. Then
That's
you're
true.
there and you're like, "What the hell am I supposed to do?" Like, I flew to Florida to use my pass, and now I can't use my pass. So, I really do think there should be, um, changes if you are an out of stater. If you don't
Mhm.
live within, let's say, 2 hours of the park, I think that you should get priority when it comes to things, and I know that makes things messy and sticky and maybe locals upset, but, like, the reality is, I'll tell you what, as a Disneyland local, if you said to me, "Hey, like, we're gonna give priority to Rise of the Resistance to people who bought a one-day ticket visiting from out of state," I'd be like, "I totally get it. I've ridden the thing like a dozen times now."
Yeah.
As long as you don't take a chance to, I mean, this would all help. This could all be resolved if they just had these things called queues. I don't know if you remember queues, but this is the thing.
I
This is like a line that people would stand in so that they could, wait a certain amount of time and go on a ride.
I thought you
Um,
pay for those.
you do now, but that wasn't always the case. Yeah, so it's there's a lot of crap stuff going on at
Yeah.
the Disney parks that are honestly, I can't believe I'm seeing it happen. Do you wanna know what I did the day that Genie Plus was announced?
What?
I bought a pass to Knott's Berry Farm. I said, "Screw you." I
I'm gonna
was
go eat some boysenberry.
seriously, I was just like, I mean, not only is it insanely more affordable, and listen, I'm not saying I'll never go to a Disney park again, but it's just like I am very much watching where I'm spending my money with them because you vote with your wallet. In the case of Oogie Boogie Bash, I bought a ticket because I'm like, this is a fantastic event. Your increase in price wasn't insane. And I'm getting like the full party, pretty much. The only thing missing is like World of Color, but we're getting Agatha. So guess what? Agatha wins over World of Color. So, uh, so I'm like, that's reasonable to me. When it comes to the parks, still, like, ever since they've reopened, I've only gone on a comp ticket because the entertainment isn't back. I'm a live entertainment guy, and you just can't charge me the same price when a lot of what I love still isn't there. And but there are a lot of people who will pay whatever, whenever, for whatever they give. And I
Yeah.
think that's the difficulty. Disney has a fandom that is extreme. It is the most FOMO group of people I've ever seen in my life. Like this was, really set in stone for me the day that Luigi's what's it called? Luigi's Rollick and Roadsters
Yeah.
over in Cars Land opened. And it had like a 4+ hour wait for that attraction. I'm like, okay, you could literally put this exact same attraction in any other theme park. And people would be like, I ain't waiting more than an hour for this. Yet the Disney fandom is like, it's just FOMO. It's like extreme. It's
Yeah.
like, I gotta do this. I'm scared of missing out on something. I will wait 4 hours for a each ticket attraction.
I mean, I would argue that the entire thing is kind of built to create FOMO. You have these like exclusive, random popcorn bucket drops and zipper
Yeah.
drops. Like, I think the most recent one that I can think of is the Mummy Mickey pumpkin bucket that just
Mhm.
came out like a day ago, maybe. I'm sure it will be gone, with by the end of next week, if that, and it'll never come back. Um,
Well,
and
it's a
then,
vicious cycle,
yeah,
right? Like they'll in the past they would do something exclusive and then it would sell out in like under an hour or something. And like, holy crap, people will pay to attend an event for a chance to buy a pin. Like that's awesome if you're the people with the money, right?
yeah,
So they lean into it hard. I am when it comes to collecting stuff, I'm not honestly a huge collector when it comes to like poster prints and artwork. That's kind of where my thing lies. But like buckets and pins, like I really
yeah.
don't care. But I get it. Everybody's got their thing. But I think when it comes to that, like they have learned that it's huge business. And for me, I'm like, okay, if I can't have a full collection of something, I'm not that interested. And to have a full collection of Disney pins is near impossible.
You would be
So
like Scrooge McDuck jumping
yeah.
into the pool of coins, but it's all
Ooh,
pins.
that would hurt. That would hurt a
Pointy.
lot. Make sure those little Mickey rubber things are on the back when you do it. But
Yes.
yeah, so it's problematic in my mind. I think it paints the Walt Disney Company in a really bad light. I think that the company honestly looks really bad right now, in a lot of cases, and it's too bad because listen, Like, I don't write about this stuff and podcast about this stuff because I don't like it. I love it. But the reality is that they're making a lot of choices that I think are very, very, very bad for the brand. And I think they're long-term bad. And there's that quote that I'm going to butcher. I'm going to paraphrase that Walt Disney always said, where he was like, his brother Roy would be like, why are you plussing everything? Why are you giving these people more than they expect? Because like they're paying for it. It's fine. He's like, you got to give them more than they expect, because if these people leave for any reason, it's going to cost 3 times more than that tiny little plus that we gave them to get them back through the gate. And I think we're going to see that in about 5 to 10 years. It's going to be very hard to get Disney fans back to trust the company again in some cases. And it's sad. It's very sad.
And I mean, like, me speaking as, like, I'm 27 years old. I have no kids, and it's just me and my partner and our dog, and that's it. And going to Disney for us now is like something we have to consider really, really hard, because it costs a lot of money that we could spend on other things. And I wonder if there will ever come a point where we get priced out,
Yeah, I mean, I think that Disney's leaning toward upper middle class and wealthy, and like that's their choice if that's what they want their brand to be. I just think it's a little confusing because their marketing brand is kind of like a rite of passage sort of message. I'm like, well, it can't be a rite of passage if like the majority of people can't afford it.
It's a rite of passage if you're rich.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like Disney's never been cheap, but it's really, I mean, it's over the top these days, I think. And it's sad. It's very, very sad. Anyway, rant over.
Yes, rant over. We could probably go on forever complaining about it. That's another episode. And then our last bit of news in the queue before we get into this week's main attraction. Halloween Horror Nights has officially begun at Universal Orlando. And for all accounts, at least my friends that have been, say it's really great.
Yay.
Except for that first night when it poured.
I know, that looked miserable.
Yeah.
I wish I saw more people wearing masks. I saw photos that were very concerning from Halloween Horror Nights Orlando, but everybody stay safe is what I'll say about that. Please stay safe.
I think the greats as far as the houses that I've seen this year, people talking about, Hill House across the board seems to be a major favorite. HHN Icons Captured, and then the legendary Truth House with I feel like Puppet Theater will be a sleeper hit. That was the one that the first house that they showed us actually back in 2020 during the pandemic. They showed kind of like a quick walkthrough of the house, and I can't remember his name, but he worked on special effects for like Walking Dead. I can't remember his name, but
for the actual show?
Yes, for the show. His face is in my mind, but I can't remember his name. And it seems really great. I've heard people say that the streets are a bit lackluster in comparison to the houses.
Okay.
But so far it's been like at least with everyone I've talked to, a great kind of celebration of the past 30 years. I am a bit disappointed to not see a Jack stage show this year.
I thought I saw Jack. I did not look too deep into this, so I could be mistaken because I don't want to spoil everything since I plan on going. But I feel like I saw some video of Jack performing.
He does I don't know if they do the opening ceremonies every night, but the first night he did.
Okay.
And then he's in the HHN Icons house, but not in the 30 Years, 30 Fears scare zone, to my understanding.
Interesting.
That scare zone is not icons, but like familiar faces from over the past 30 years.
All right. I went for the 25th anniversary, and they did a similar like Icons maze, and I remember it being one of my favorites. So that's definitely the one that I'm kind of looking most forward to.
Yeah, and then 25 had I think it was Carnival Carnage that year, the stage show with
Possibly.
the blender.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
And I figured, it's 30. Jack is back. He's apparently been living under the park for the past year, watching everything on CCTV feeds. I thought that a show would be great, but they decided to do I think it's Halloween Nightmare Fuel. Yes, that is the pyro aerialist show over in the Fear Factor Theater, replacing Academy of Villains, the dance show from years past. And they have a new Marathon of Mayhem fountain show in the lagoon, which I saw people saying good things about. Brian says that Jack is an extra with a microphone in the queues and mocks you in entering the houses. So he'll heckle you as you travel through. But yeah, very excited. I too have been avoiding the vlogs mostly because my boyfriend is going very, very soon to Horror Nights. So he is also avoiding spoilers, and in turn I'm avoiding spoilers as a result. But as soon as he's gone, I'm watching everything.
Excellent.
But very excited, very jealous for those of you that get to go. Hill House was one of my favorite horror properties of like the last 10 years. Mike Flanagan is like one of my favorite new horror directors these days. So I'm very, very excited to see a good walkthrough video of that.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that was a great series, and of course we got that in Hollywood as well, which is really cool, and it'll be fun to finally see all this stuff, you know?
Yes, and speaking of, we have our
Speaking
main
of,
attraction. Yes.
Nice segue. There we go.
Well, not quite, because we have to do our special thanks to our sponsor really quick.
Oh, sponsor.
Just kidding. We love them.
Here at Destinations with Character Travel, we offer the best experience with your travels. Need to visit the thrilling Disneyland Resort, Walt Disney World? Maybe lounge about on a Disney cruise or any other major cruise line? No problem. So if you're looking for a stress and hassle-free vacation, visit us at www.destinationswithcharacter.com. Contact us today and let us plan a magical vacation for you and your family.
It's time for the main attraction!
And this week's main attraction, Jeff actually got to take a walkthrough of 2 of this year's houses at Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood with John Murdy, the maniacal brain behind it all. And I just wanted to kind of hear about your experience and pick your brain a bit, because you got to do something that I've always wanted to do, was walk through the houses with the lights on, because I'm a big weenie and I get scared.
Oh, do you get scared? That's so funny.
It's bad.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. It's funny because I have my sister coming out to visit in a couple weeks, and she's coming specifically for the Halloween stuff, and she loves it, but she gets scared.
Yeah, that's me. I love it, but I get scared really
and
bad.
it's so much fun for someone like me to walk through with someone like you, because like for me, I love it, but I'm just not a jumpy person, and I just don't get scared by it. And so when people are always like, oh, what's the scariest maze? I'm like, I literally can't answer that question. It's not about the scare for me. It's just like I get giddy with laughter and have a smile on my face.
That.
So in any case, when my sister comes, I'm like, okay, when you're ready to scream, you have to look at the floor, because my ears are bleeding by the end of the night. Like, it's bad. So, but yes, no, it was a lot of fun, and it's always, John Murdy obviously has a passion for this, and it's always fun to hear him talk about the event. And it's an interesting event this year in Hollywood, because I remember getting the surveys of, would you be okay with repeated mazes? Would you be okay if they were all originals? I'm like, I will be okay with anything. Just have Halloween Horror Nights in 2021, please, because I missed it in 2020 so much. So I'm really happy that we're getting an event. But I think, like, in this first little photo you can see here on the one next to John, the Haunting Hill House entry, like, I think in an image like that you can kind of see, okay, there are definitely budget cuts, because, like, literally look, it's a big flat entrance, and like, it's not the most beautiful entrance I've ever seen for Horror Nights Maze. I'm not saying anything that they don't already know, but like, these are the kind of decisions that had to be made this year, and I think it's the right decisions if it means we get an event. But Haunting Hill House was a huge show on Netflix, and that wallpaper that you're seeing there, like, it's crazy to listen. I think he said he gets something like 40,000 photos from the sets as research and wallpaper. I've noticed for John and Chris, the designer there and stuff, and the whole team, they get very specific about certain things, and like wallpaper is one of them. I know carpet was a big deal when they did the Shining maze, and so like they really get kind of into these details of the shows, and it is amazing how much thought is put into it, because like, let's face it, we walk by so much of this without noticing at all. This photo here at the bottom is actually a great example. If you've ever seen like the disappearing room that they do, it's basically what you're looking at is a scrim, which is basically, it's a metal screen with holes in it, and when it's lit from the front, it looks like everything on the left side. So you can see how like the darker colors, that's like a painted front of a scrim, and behind that, on like right in the middle, you can see the kind of the sunlight shining through, and that's quite literally what it is. It's sunlight from when we're walking through during the day, but when they can trigger that lighting at night, you can see through the screen. So it's a really cool effect, and it's always fun to see how that stuff is kind of done.
Yeah, I watched a couple walkthrough videos of this house in Orlando, and some of the effects are really intense. And awesome. I won't spoil them for you because I know that you're going, but I'm very excited to see kind of the differences and similarities between the two, since this is on both coasts.
Yeah, there's always quite a few differences when it comes to the two coasts doing the same maze, which I find to be kind of interesting, to be honest. Like, I would think Universal would be like, hey, not to have anybody lose their job or anything, but I think they'd be like, hey, we're doing the same maze. Can't we use the same designs on both coasts? So I find it kind of interesting that they don't do that. But
yeah,
I think it's great that they all have their own kind of look and feel, especially for us weirdos who do both coasts. Like, it's there's some diehard fans. So
yeah. And then one other thing I noticed going through these photos when you submitted everything is that they use a lot of mannequins.
Yeah.
In comparison to Orlando.
Okay, I never really put two and two together that like Orlando didn't do it as much. I'm not a huge fan of the mannequins, to be honest. I always feel like, unless it's like a dummy, I'm sorry, not a dummy, like a skeleton. Yeah. I'd be like, I don't know. If it's a human, I want to see a human.
Like these.
Yeah. I would rather they figure out some way around that, because the dummies do kind of take me out of it. And I get why they're there. I just, I'm not a huge fan. Or if you got to have one, have it face down. Yeah. So like, I'm just looking at the hair. I don't have to see this clearly artificial face. Not my favorite. It seems
like, at least in your photos, that the mannequins are of the kids. So they would have to cast like really small, like short actors, youthful looking actors. I would imagine that the live actors in the scenes will be like the mom, the dad.
Yeah. And we even get the bent neck woman is a live actor as well. Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, because I remember watching the Shining mazes on both coasts and like comparing and contrasting the two, and the Hollywood one had those black hallways with the drop windows. Is that kind of a present, at least in the two that you walked through here? Are those hallways like a thing again?
I didn't see the drop windows. I did see some windows that like swung open. Okay. But I don't remember seeing any drop windows necessarily, no.
But like hallways of black, like just...
Toward the end of Hill House, yes, because John was explaining that he said, this is our final room. He goes, but we learned that when people leave the final room, that's when like they let their guards down, and it's easiest to scare them. So we have a final room, and then we have a final room, and then we have a final room. So yes, after the first final room, it will get to kind of just dark hallways where you think you're done and you're not. So
and they're just gonna mess you up.
Yep.
I'm really excited to see it. My dream is to get because I know Hollywood gets to do this often. Have the actors and like the crew from the show come and do the mazes for promotional material. Yeah. I would love to see anyone from that show come do a walkthrough of this house. That would be so funny.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll happen. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. And then I gotta say, the facade for Bride, the photos that you got,
But
it
the
looks
book,
incredible.
yes. So this book is the facade, and it's stunning. And honestly, it's kind of a nice balance where they may not have had the budget for great facades this year, and like this is just a giant book with an incredible painting on it. So my guess is that it's cheaper to pay somebody to paint something than to like make a very detailed structure. So this may have been a compromise, but I gotta say, like, it's a compromise that worked out very nicely for them, I think. Or maybe it was just a choice, who knows. But yeah, I love especially the image on the left of the Bride of Frankenstein and that very kind of classic literature kind of styling. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was such a unique take on the classic, like, big sticker entrance for some of the Hollywood houses. And I kind of wish that they did this more. But it's great to see them do anything, you know? And then I'm not sure where this is located.
So that's kind of in the middle of the maze. So one of the things that's very cool, if you're looking up right now, you're seeing the sky. We are outside. So there is a Parisian courtyard in the middle of the upper lot in the theme park. And unlike, you know, most of the mazes where you're under a tent, and if you look up, you're going to see black tent. This actually takes advantage of the fact that it's in a Parisian courtyard. You can't really see it in the photo, but if you were to look to the left or the right, you'd see some like very European style buildings because it's a Parisian courtyard. And they kind of use that to their advantage in this maze. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it. I didn't realize that this was an outdoor thing. I thought this was like part of the facade that I was just missing.
We don't get rain. So.
Oh yeah, because so you can have anything else.
Yeah, it's pretty rare for us to have a rainy night during Halloween. So it's, you know, it's an advantage for sure.
And then the inside, there's just so much detail to look at through all of these photos. But again, with the mannequin thing, I can't help but wonder if we're going to get like a live actor for Bride, but then the Frankie
that's what it seems
always
like.
Be a mannequin.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, it's her story, and he's kind of dead. I mean, we will get a live. He's kind of dead. Yeah, I mean, so we will get a live Frankie or Frankenstein's monster toward the end because he is like 8 feet tall or 12 feet tall. He's on stilts.
Yeah.
And toward the end, and so you will definitely have a live actor for that. But yes, there are moments where he is not living so much, and those are actually pretty good dummies. I mean, those
they look great.
Yeah, those are in daylight, of course, and with the mood lighting and stuff, it should look better. But I love the detail next to Frankenstein's monster there of the little lab she created inside of a church. You see the windows that looks like an old church because she discovered, so there are the vampire brides in this maze and she's trying to keep them away. And she's discovered that like the cross keeps them away, which is in that photo. You can see she pulls the cross off the wall and then she sharpens the end of it and makes it a stake to stab the vampire brides with, which is cool. So she learns that the cross keeps them away. So she builds this lab inside of a church, which is what that facade was. Oh, you know what? If you scroll down a little bit, you can see the European buildings I was talking about. So that photo on the right there, you can see on the left of that photo, that kind of rooftop is right there. Yeah, that's real. That's part of the park. And that's part of the Parisian courtyard. So you're kind of like surrounded by that whenever you look up, which is pretty cool. I bet
that looks great at night.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a cool area.
So I have to ask, were you able to do Bride of Frankenstein at Orlando last year?
I was, yeah.
Okay, so how does it compare, I guess, to what you were able to see in Hollywood?
It's very different. Gosh, you're asking me to remember a year ago, but I don't remember no, it's okay. I don't remember Vampire Brides in the one in Florida. In fact, the person whose idea this was, his name is Patrick Braillard.
Yeah.
I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly. And so he was Orlando based. He's now doing SeaWorld's Halloween event. And I think last year, if I'm remembering correctly, he created one of the drive-through ones.
He did Scream and Stream.
Yeah.
Or he worked on it this year too, and then immediately moved on to SeaWorld.
Okay. So yeah, it was his idea, and John Murdy mentioned that several times during the little tour that it was Patrick's idea, but they went at it from very different angles. So this is one of those ones that when you compare both coasts, you're getting very different shows.
Cool. That was something I wondered because I was like, oh, that's interesting that they're having it on both coasts, and I wonder how similar they will be because You could argue that this is an original maze and not an IP-based maze because
Yeah,
it's
it's a
original
sequel.
to Orlando, or Universal. Also, this painting, which I think is right in there in that doorway.
There's a bunch of those throughout. So
Okay,
basically,
cool.
since it's since you walk through a book at the beginning, there's basically several different chapters we're walking through.
Oh, I like that.
And at the beginning of each chapter, you're getting some really cool artwork with with text on the pages, and then there will be voiceover basically reading what the text says as you walk through. But yeah, there's some really cool artwork hanging on the walls throughout, for sure.
That's so cool. And then I know that this kind of bleeds out into the scare zone, which
Yeah.
is all of the female monsters, which I have to admit, when I read that Anoxunamun was going to be in this scare zone from the Mummy movie, I
Mhm.
died. I love that movie so much.
Oh, awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It sounds like an interesting scare zone where it's gonna be the female monsters essentially, and he was saying, like, this is a heavy female year as far as casting the characters and stuff, and, not the easiest to cast necessarily, so, yeah, it's gonna be a pretty epic year, and even with a lot of repeat mazes, I'm looking super forward to the event. We get the return of Terror Tram this year, which was gone the last time there was an event, so
Yeah.
that's back, and it should be very cool.
What are your thoughts on Terror Tram not being Hollywood Harry? It being like Purge? Because I feel like Hollywood Harry is a favorite.
I mean, how many? I think Hollywood Harry was only like 1 year, right?
Was it?
I think so.
I-
Was that the Eli Roth one with the clown?
It was like based on those weird sightings of clowns across the country.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
that was a 1 year thing. So here's the
Okay.
thing with Terror Tram. Terror Tram's interesting. Terror Tram, I mean, it's interesting that it's returning, right? So my gut is saying that it's returning because fans wanted it.
I think Murdy said as much at Midsummer Scream.
Yeah, I think yeah. So that's interesting to me because I mean, it is undoubtedly very, very, very cool walking by the Psycho House, walking on the Universal Studios backlot. Like that is undeniably cool. The problem is that number one, it's a huge space. So filling that with enough stuff to not make it feel huge is difficult, and I don't think they've ever really figured it out. So the one thing I love about Terror Tram is it is super unique to Hollywood. Like you're not going to get that in Florida's Halloween Horror Nights, and I think that that's cool. I wish they could figure it out. I don't feel like they've ever hit a home run with Terror Tram, and my guess is they probably felt that way as well, which is why they got rid of it in 2019. But it is interesting that people really want that, and that's
Yeah.
why it's brought back. So
And then the Toxic Tunnel is also not returning this year, too.
So that's not returning because the whole purpose of the Toxic Tunnel was to walk to a different area of the back lot. So this was the whole New York area, very close to like the Back to the Future Courthouse Square and all that stuff. And the reason that was there was simply because they needed more room to build. The reason we don't have that this year is because from what I've heard, by the time that they decided, yes, we're going to have Halloween Horror Nights, that land was already rented out to another production. So Haunting of Hill House and Pandora's Box are like backstage in an area literally next to Scare Base where all the people are getting made up.
Wow.
So it's in an area where we've never had mazes before. They also had to move them because the year that we didn't have Terror Tram, they built 2 mazes in the Terror Tram load zone, and they obviously can't do that this year because the Terror Tram's back. So, we have a smaller number of mazes than we often do, but yeah, we have an event, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain about it. We got an event.
Is there anything that you're particularly excited about for Hollywood's end that you may not necessarily get from Orlando's when you go?
What are all the mazes? I mean, Walking Dead is the same attraction that's been there.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I'm excited to see The Bride of Frankenstein Lives under all the show lighting and stuff. I think that's going to be a great maze, and I know it's considerably different than Orlando's. One of the properties, Exorcist is a repeat. Pandora's Box is great and completely original to Hollywood. So, like, that's a great maze, and it's a repeat maze, but it's a great maze. So I'm excited to see that again. Should
Yeah,
be fun.
and then I just remembered, and I think Brian mentioned it earlier in the chat. Hollywood's Bride Maze gets a score from Slash. So
Yes,
and
and it
Orlando's
sounds really
doesn't.
good. Oh, so that's really interesting. Okay, I mean, John Murdy loves working with the rock stars, and he played some of it at Midsummer Scream, Awaken the Spirits, and it was great. Like it was. I'm not like a particular Slash fan or anything, but I was just listening. Like, no, this is a great horror music maze, and
Cool.
I think it will add to it. And I think he said there's like 4 original pieces of music in the maze, so
How
that's kind of
long
cool.
is that maze? I mean,
There's like 4 chapters, I think. So you're walking through different chapters of the book. It's a good size, but it's not massive or anything.
the longest maze and the only maze I've ever done was the first year of American Horror Story in Orlando, and that felt like the longest. I counted; it was 8 minutes of
What
my life.
What do you mean it's the only maze you've ever done? Like you're
I've
you're
only-
so scared that you don't do this?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not like my sister. You were saying, "Oh, I get scared, but I like it." You don't really like it.
I want to like it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
I love like the horror genre. I like the movies, the TV shows. But for some reason, like the experiential stuff, like sticking me in these environments,
Mhm.
I lose my cool completely.
All right. I can't believe Matt hasn't gotten you into a video yet.
Oh, there is one.
Oh, okay. Which maze? Oh, was it that one you just mentioned?
No, that one I went. That was before my time with attractions. But if you specifically want to see me tortured, we used to do a live stream show, or I did, called Early Night Live. It still happens with different hosts. And we went to a media preview of Howl-O-Scream over at Busch Gardens, Tampa. And they said, we're going to give you a lights on tour of one of our new houses. And I was like, oh, cool. I'll get to see all the special effects and like the set decorating and everything, which I find really interesting. And we go in there and everything was like live. The lights were just on. And I was so upset. And they didn't say anything before we walked in there. There were scare actors in there.
That's amazing.
Sliders on. I remember specifically there was one room that had like checkerboard everywhere and black light, and they had sliders on the floor. And
That's awesome.
like motion activated scares. And I had to hold the camera. Poor me, and so it's like shaking like crazy. But the live stream is still on the Attractions YouTube channel if you want to dig it up.
That's funny. I remember in 2019, I was walking through and shooting video for attractions for a maze. I think it was Waxworks at Not Scary Farm. And
Yeah.
a buddy of mine was behind me, and I'm walking through shooting the video, and we exit the maze, and he looks at me and he goes, "How do you do that?" I'm like, I genuinely was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You don't like jump." He's like, "That camera never moved." I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm just not jumpy. Like, it's just part of my DNA, I guess, or I've just
I
been
wish
around
that
this crap too much." It's so funny.
I'm just too high strung, I think. Everything makes me jumpy.
That's funny. I do want to mention real quickly this first photo in this article. I love this billboard. So this is right at toward the entrance of the park, right in like the New York sets, but like in the theme park, not like the real New York sets on the back lot. And they put a new design up here every Halloween Horror Nights, and it's always like kind of retro, sort of Happy Halloween sign. It's one of my favorite things to see each year, a different one of those, and I really like this year's. And you can see like the Universal Globe in the background there. I think it's very cool.
Is there any, like, I love these torn parts. Is this supposed to be like the backside of the billboard?
It looks like, yeah, it's supposed to be. It looks like the skeletons are ripping through, and there were like layers of ads behind this one or something.
Smart. I love that. Yeah, it's very charming, and I like the kind of goofy, spooky vibes of the whole thing.
They could sell prints of that, and I would buy it.
Honestly, they should sell more prints of everything.
Yeah, I think Orlando gets more than us, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of the prints. Like I said, that's the stuff that I tend to collect is artwork and
Posters.
prints. Yeah,
Okay.
I have no more wall space, but oh my gosh, I just keep buying them and sticking them under the bed and wherever I can find a spot to put them because I love it so much.
Yeah, same. I mean, we have flat stock here in Austin, if you know what that is, and like,
No.
it's like a big, Mondo-esque
Oh,
like,
cool.
poster convention thing.
Cool.
And then there's also like MondoCon, where people will go and buy and sell these giant prints of their art and trade them and auction them off. I mean, so you should really look into flat stock if they ever do it again. But
Yeah, that sounds cool. I love that.
if you love posters, that's definitely something not to miss.
Awesome.
But that's everything that I had to talk about this week, and I'm so glad I got to talk with you about it, because I feel like we have similar opinions on things, and it was fun to just like throw things back and forth.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And before we go, I have some housekeeping to do. We have listener thank yous to share. In case you did not know, Attractions Magazine has a 4-tier subscription plan, and if you pick the club or VIP tiers, the week after you subscribe, you get a shout out here on the podcast. And this week we are giving major applause to Brad Reichert. Thank you so much. I hope I said your name right. Thank you.
Yay, Brad!
And if you are interested, you can pick up our summer issue now at attractionsmagazine.com/store. Our fall issue is in the works, and it will be coming very, very soon. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
I'm trying to think what my DePauli on DeParks was for that one. I think it might have been the summer issue. I think it might have been about when the movie studio parks actually shot production, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, that was a moment in theme park history, I'll tell you. God, I
a
loved
long
it.
time ago.
Yeah.
And I would also love to thank Destinations with Character Travel for sponsoring the podcast and making this crazy off the rails discussion possible. And I would also like to remind you, if you do not mind, if you have the kindness in your heart, to please go to the Apple Podcast app, rate us 5 stars, and leave us a very kind, positive review. If you mean it. If you don't mean it, keep it to yourself. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. And Jeff, if you would, tell the folks at home where they can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, as I mentioned toward the beginning of this, the early plug that was really not meant to be a plug, but I am working on a 2nd season of That Halloween podcast. And last year it was all about keeping people safe at home, enjoying the season, watching Halloween movies, and I had some amazing guests. But this year, I am happy to say that I am collaborating with 13th Floor Entertainment Group, who do attractions like the LA Haunted Hayride, as well as Delusion now, and they have 15 haunts around the country. So throughout the month of October, we're talking about their haunts. And honestly, if you're somebody like interested in the haunt industry and learning about like kind of the creation of haunted houses and haunted attractions, definitely you will love this podcast series, because there's some really great interviews with very intelligent people from within the company. So there's that, and then every week, every Wednesday, I've got Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast, where I share my opinions and do a lot of great interviews. So for either of those, you can visit thepodcastnetwork.com. That's simply D like demon, E like evil, podcastnetwork.com.
And your Twitter?
My Twitter is at Jeff DePauli. Very simple. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and maybe some TikToking soon. We'll see. People are trying to convince me. I've been very resistant. I think I need to get over this resistance. But
it's where the kids are.
It's where the kids are, and I'm clearly a kid. At Jeff DePauli, JEFFDEPAOLI. Yeah.
And you can find me at Brittany Tuttle. That's BRITTANITUTTLE. Yes, it's spelled funny on Twitter and Instagram, but also every day at attractionsmagazine.com, at Attractions on Twitter, at Attractions Magazine on Instagram, and youtube.com/attractionsmagazine, where you've been hanging out with us for the past hour and a half. You got a long episode this week.
I yap a lot.
It's okay. I love it. And until next week, I hope you guys stay safe, try something new, maybe a little scary, and most importantly, have fun, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.